They counted him out. Not because he lost, but because he stopped showing up. No interviews, no training footage, no proof he was even still alive. The fight world moved on. They said he burned out. They said the pressure broke him. They said his name like a cautionary tale. Remember that guy? Thought he was going to be something. 3 years passed. The story was already written. Then he walked back into a room full of people who had forgotten he existed. And every single one of them knew within seconds that they were in the presence of something they could not explain. This is not a story about talent. It is a story about what happens when a man removes himself from the world entirely. Not to hide, but to build. Because the most dangerous version of you is never constructed in front of an audience. It is constructed in the dark, in the silence, in the years when nobody is watching and nobody believes. He was good. Everyone agreed on that. Fast hands, faster mind. The kind of fighter analysts said had it, that unteachable quality that separates the contenders from the champions. They projected his trajectory like a stock that could only go up, and then nothing. No retirement announcement, no injury report, no dramatic farewell, just absence. The kind of absence that starts as curiosity and curdles into judgment. At first, people asked where he went. Then they stopped asking and started deciding. He couldn't handle the pressure. He was never really that good. He was a flash, a moment, a name that flared and died. The world has a reflex. When someone steps out of the arena, the world fills that space with a story. And the story it tells is almost never the truth. He did not correct them. He did not defend himself. He did not post a single word in response to any of it. Because by the time the rumors started circulating, he was already somewhere else. Somewhere without mirrors. Somewhere without witnesses. Somewhere a person goes when they have decided that the version of themselves the world approved of was not the version worth saving. Most people cannot sit in a room alone with themselves for 1 hour. He did it for 1,000 days. No coach shouting encouragement, no crowd roaring, no camera capturing the grind for a highlight reel. There was only the dark, the cold, and the work. Every strike thrown against nothing, every doubt faced without distraction, every weakness stared down without the anesthesia of applause. This is the part of the story that doesn't get filmed, the part that doesn't make the documentary, because there is nothing to film. There is only a man, a room, and the slow, silent process of becoming something that does not yet have a name. The ego screamed for validation. He let it scream. The mind whispered that this was madness, that 3 years of invisible labor was not discipline, it was delusion. He listened to the whisper and kept working. The body broke down and rebuilt itself in a cycle so relentless it stopped feeling like training and started feeling like something closer to faith. He was not improving. Improvement implies a before and after that someone else can measure. He was shedding. Layer by layer, the need for recognition, the addiction to being seen, the part of him that needed the world to believe in him before he could believe in himself, all of it burned away. What was left was not a better fighter. What was left was something quieter, something colder, something that did not need anyone to understand what it had become. There is a question that arrives somewhere around day 400. You are alone. You have no evidence that anything you are doing will matter. No coach has validated your technique. No fan has confirmed your relevance. No opponent has tested your progress. So who are you doing this for? If you can answer that question in the dark, without an audience, without a reward, without anyone ever knowing, then you have found something most people spend their entire lives chasing and never touch. He found it. The silence was not empty. It was the first honest mirror he had ever stood in front of. Every session in the dark was a conversation with the only person who actually matters. The version of himself that exists when nobody is watching. You have a version like that too. You know the one. The one that doesn't perform. The one that doesn't curate. The one that surfaces at 3 a.m. when the phone is off and the world is asleep and there is nothing between you and the truth except the courage to look at it directly. Most people spend their lives running from that version. He spent 3 years becoming it. The night he came back, nobody expected him. The promoters had booked someone else. The analysts had moved on to newer names. His was a ghost in the rankings, a line item in the whatever happened to column of a sport that forgets quickly. He walked into the arena the way a fact walks into a room full of opinions. The people who saw him enter did not cheer. They did not recognize him. Not at first. Because the man who walked through those doors was not the man who had disappeared 3 years earlier. The posture was different. The eyes were different. There was a stillness to him that people found unsettling. The kind of stillness that exists in things that have nothing to prove. His opponent that night was ranked, respected, a legitimate threat. The fight lasted 97 seconds, not because his opponent was weak, but because the man in front of him had been training for 1,000 days against an opponent nobody else could see. He had fought doubt. He had fought isolation. He had fought the version of himself that wanted to quit, that wanted validation, that wanted to be seen. And he had defeated all of them. What was one man with a ranking compared to that? The crowd was silent at first, not in disappointment, but in the kind of stunned recognition that happens when you witness something you cannot immediately process. Then the silence broke, and with it, every story they had told about him for the last 3 years. Here is what most people will never understand. The work you do in silence is not less real than the work that gets applauded. It is more real. Because the work you do when nobody is watching is the only work that actually belongs to you. Everything else, the highlight reels, the endorsements, the crowd noise, those are echoes. The work itself is the quiet thing underneath. Invisibility is not failure. It is not punishment. It is the only condition under which certain kinds of growth are even possible. You cannot forge a blade in a crowded room. You cannot build a mind that fears nothing while checking to see who liked your post. You cannot become dangerous, truly dangerous, in conditions designed for comfort and visibility. The fighter who came back was not more skilled than the fighter who left. He was more real, and the world, which had spent 3 years telling a story about his disappearance, now had to reckon with a truth it did not see coming. He was never gone. He was building. And the version of him they had counted out never existed in the first place. The worst thing the world can do to you is count you out. The best thing you can do is use that silence as fuel. Because right now, while they're talking, while they're doubting, while they're writing the story of what you cannot do, you could be in the dark room. You could be building the version of yourself that will one day walk into a room and end every conversation without saying a word. The most dangerous person in any room is the one who was built where nobody could see. The surge begins within. Carry it forward.